Welcome to the Memory and History channel. Be sure to subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss out on more videos like this one. In 1941, a destroyed Wehrmacht artillery position lay near Volokholamsk in the Moscow region. The wreckage reflects the brutal Eastern Front of World War II, a stark testament to fierce battles, strategic resistance, and the devastating toll of mechanized warfare. The new 30th Division of the National Revolutionary Army was a key military unit of China's forces during the early 20th century. Trained for modern warfare, it played a vital role in campaigns against Japanese invasion and internal conflicts, reflecting China's turbulent era of resistance and reform. "81 years ago, during the Battle of Aachen, PFC Lundgren operated a handy-talkie radio on the front lines. His role was crucial for communication amid intense urban combat, reflecting the bravery and coordination required in one of World War II's pivotal European battles. In 1944, Polish insurgents captured a German SD KFZ-251 armored fighting vehicle during the Warsaw Uprising. The image symbolizes defiance and resourcefulness, as resistance fighters repurposed enemy machinery in their struggle for freedom amid the brutal chaos of World War II. In 1945, Chinese soldiers were stationed in Keelung, Taiwan, during the final stages of World War II. The photograph captures a moment of vigilance and transition, as military presence marked the shifting control and the complex political landscape of East Asia at war's end. In 1918, young women operated stock tickers and boards at New York's Waldorf Astoria Hotel, the first time the establishment employed girls across various departments. The image reflects early shifts in gender roles, highlighting women entering workplaces traditionally dominated by men during World War I. In 1984, Lionel Richie stood at the height of his musical fame, blending soulful ballads with pop sensibilities. The photograph captures his charisma and style during an era that defined 1980s music, cementing his status as an enduring icon of global entertainment. These vintage photographs capture a young Lucille Ball radiating charm, wit, and early Hollywood glamour. Long before I Love, Lucy made her household name, the images reveal her playful personality, timeless beauty, and the budding talent that would shape television comedy forever. In 1910, the Big Tree Room at Yosemite's Upper Hotel featured a 175-foot tall cedar planted by Englishman James Hutchings. Towering at 8 feet in diameter, the tree became the room's centerpiece, a majestic symbol of nature within human-designed spaces, now sadly lost. In 1955 Slovenia, young boys diligently delivered firewood through their village streets. The photograph captures post-war resilience, industrious youth, and the quiet determination of a generation contributing to their family's survival amid modest rural life. In February 1954, during her Korea tour, Marilyn Monroe signed a large pinup poster she had posed for in 1946. Her warm smile and approachable demeanor endeared her to troops, blending Hollywood glamour with heartfelt morale boosting in a war-torn setting. In 1955, James Dean was photographed leaning against a jukebox in Marfa, Texas, during the filming of Giant. The image captures his effortless, cool, and brooding charisma, a fleeting, iconic moment of youth, rebellion, and 1950s Americana. In 1955, Leo G. Carroll and Mara Corday starred in Tarantula, a sci-fi horror film that terrified a generation. The movie's giant mutant spider and eerie desert setting epitomized 1950s atomic age fears, leaving lasting impressions of suspense and arachnophobia on young audiences. In 1957, Elvis Presley was drafted into the U.S. Army, a pivotal moment in his life and career. Quickly promoted to sergeant, he balanced military duty with his rising stardom, showcasing discipline and charm that endeared him to fans worldwide. It likely depicts a historical scene from that period, possibly workers, assembly lines, or daily life in post-war America. Charles Young, 1864-1922, was a pioneering African-American soldier, diplomat, and educator. The third Black West Point graduate and first Black National Park superintendent, he rose to one of the highest ranks in the U.S. Army, breaking barriers and inspiring generations. In the 1950s, Newark Eagles players Leneal Hooker, Max Manning, Jim Brown, and Raleigh Biz Mackey posed together, representing the skill and resilience of Negro League baseball. Their talent and camaraderie highlight an era that paved the way for full integration in American sports. In the 1940s and 50s, Harlem was home to a vibrant Black Jewish community. Balancing faith, culture, and daily life, residents built synagogues, businesses, and social networks, a unique intersection of heritage, resilience, and identity in one of America's most dynamic neighborhoods. On September 13, 1969, Sergio Oliva, nicknamed The Myth, defeated Arnold Schwarzenegger at the Mr. Olympia contest. Posing proudly with his trophy and prize money, the photograph captures a historic moment in bodybuilding, showcasing Oliva's legendary physique and competitive dominance. In 1935, a young girl was photographed watching the lynching of Reuben Stacy, a horrifying act of racial terror in the Jim Crow South. Her innocent smile contrasts the brutal reality, capturing the chilling normalization of violence and the devastating impact of systemic racism. In 1944, a nose-shaping tool was used to alter the structure of the wearer's nose permanently. Featured in The Atlantic, the device reflects mid-20th century beauty standards and the lengths people went to achieve idealized facial features. In 1945, Norway captured German Mauser 98K rifles lay stacked as trophies of liberation. Weathered steel and broken bayonets told a quiet story of occupation ended, proof of resistance, sacrifice, and the fragile peace that followed brutal years of war. On September 15, 1975, in Boston, a black girl and a white girl held hands while riding the bus during school integration. The image symbolizes hope, unity, and the courage of a generation challenging segregation to forge a more inclusive future. In 1940, an Italian soldier operated a flamethrower, his face protected by an asbestos cap. The image captures the perilous and destructive nature of early World War II weaponry, highlighting both the soldier's courage and the harsh realities of mechanized combat. In 1935, a housewife stood at a grocery counter as the clerk totaled her bill for 2 six-packs of Coca-Cola, bread, and canned goods. The scene reflects everyday life during the Great Depression, modest shopping, simple meals, and the routines of domestic survival. In January 1942, Slavoljub Slavakovic, a young boy from Bogatic, Serbia, had a 5-pointed star carved into his forehead by the Germans moments before execution. The harrowing image symbolizes the brutality of occupation and the innocent lives destroyed during World War II, between 1909 and 1911. The RMS Titanic was constructed at Harland and Wolff in Belfast, the world's largest shipyard. Among over 3,000 workers, 246 were injured, with 28 losing limbs, a testament to the immense labor and hazards behind the legendary ocean liner. In the 1880s, Martha Calamity Jane Canary posed with her 6-gun in Evanston, Wyoming. Masquerading as a man to work as a mule skinner, she embraced freedom and defied societal norms, becoming an enduring symbol of the rugged, unconventional spirit of the American West. In 1939, Joe Arity, a man with an IQ of 46, was executed in Colorado's gas chamber for a crime he didn't commit. Innocent and childlike, he spent his final days playing with toy trains, a haunting story later recognized with a posthumous pardon. Around 1885, Theodore Roosevelt visited the Dakota Badlands following the death of his first wife. Known for his fiery personality, he once described President Woodrow Wilson as a Byzantine logothete backed by flub-dubs and mollycoddles, reflecting his sharp wit and uncompromising character. In 1996, photojournalist James Nachtwey captured Kabul, Afghanistan, amid the country's turbulent conflict. His image reflects the devastation of war, the resilience of civilians, and the raw, unflinching perspective that made Nachtwey one of the most influential photographers documenting human suffering worldwide. In 1942, Weegee photographed New York City, capturing its gritty streets, crime scenes, and urban life with stark realism. His work revealed the raw energy and dark undercurrents of the city, defining a bold, documentary style that influenced generations of photojournalists. In 1956, Wolf Strack captured Road to Rome, a photograph reflecting post-war Europe's recovery and the lingering traces of history along its roads. The image evokes travel, reflection, and the juxtaposition of everyday life with the continent's complex wartime legacy. In 1936, Robert Capa captured The Falling Soldier, a harrowing image of a soldier struck down during the Spanish Civil War. The photograph epitomizes the immediacy and brutality of combat, cementing Capa's reputation for intimate, fearless war photography. In 1950, David Douglas Duncan photographed Marine Captain Ike Fenton at the Naktung River perimeter on No Name Ridge, South Korea. The image captures the intensity and resolve of frontline leadership during the Korean War, reflecting both strategic vigilance and the human toll of conflict. On May 2, 1945, Yevgeny Kaldey captured the iconic raising a flag over the Reichstag, symbolizing the Soviet victory in Berlin and the imminent end of World War II in Europe. The photograph embodies triumph, sacrifice, and the historic moment of Nazi Germany's collapse. In 1956, 15-year-old Erika, a Hungarian anti-Soviet rebel, stood defiant during the uprising against Soviet control. The photograph captures youthful courage amid political turmoil, reflecting the bravery and desperation of ordinary citizens challenging oppression. During a pivotal moment in Hungary's history, the image you're referring to depicts the signing of the Sino-Soviet Treaty of Friendship, Alliance, and Mutual Assistance on February 14, 1950. This treaty was a significant diplomatic agreement between the People's Republic of China and the Soviet Union. In 1950, President Harry Truman oversaw an extensive White House renovation to address structural issues and modernize the residence. The image captures workers and scaffolding amid the historic mansion, reflecting both the challenges of preserving heritage and the evolution of America's presidential home. In August 1940, a Messerschmitt Bf 110, nicknamed the Fliegender Haifisch, or Flying Shark, flew over the English Channel. The twin-engine fighter bomber played a key role in the Luftwaffe's operations during the Battle of Britain, symbolizing both technological innovation and the dangers of aerial warfare. In 1965, men were photographed waiting for execution during Indonesia's communist purge. The harrowing image reflects the brutal political violence that claimed hundreds of thousands of lives, highlighting a dark chapter of repression, fear, and the devastating human cost of ideological conflict. Around 1900, a photograph captured the daily life of a Palestinian family in Ramallah. The image offers a glimpse into traditional routines, attire and home life, reflecting the culture, resilience, and everyday experiences of families in the region at the turn of the 20th century. In September 1940, Italian bombers targeted Haifa, destroying a Muslim graveyard in the Istiklal Mosque. The photograph captures the devastation of civilian and religious sites, highlighting the tragic impact of aerial warfare on communities and cultural heritage during World War II. In 1906, Christmas celebrations in Bethlehem, Palestine, were captured in a rare photograph. The image shows worshippers and locals gathered near the Church of the Nativity, blending faith, tradition, and history in the birthplace of Christianity during a peaceful early 20th century moment. On Easter 1944, refugees were photographed leaving Belgrade amid heavy bombing and advancing conflict. The image captures despair and displacement as families fled their homes, symbolizing the immense human suffering endured by civilians during World War II's final chaotic years in the Balkans. A haunting photograph from c. 1933-1934 shows the Imperial Japanese Navy's destroyer Fuji Naval Landing Force conducting field training along the coast of northern China. A rare photograph from 1940 captures a Kawanishi H-6K Mavis flying boat refueling at sea from the Japanese submarine tanker I-122. The image reflects the ingenuity and reach of Japan's early war naval aviation, a vast empire, linked by steel and sea. An A6M3, Zero Model 22A being towed along the iron-plated runway of Lakanai Airfield, Rabaul, in 1943. The glint of the Tetsuba, an iron plate matting beneath the aircraft, marks Japan's attempt to strengthen one of its most important forward bases in the South Pacific. Soldiers of the 124th Field Artillery Battalion, 33rd Infantry Division, U.S. Army, operating captured Japanese artillery against enemy positions in northern Luzon. The Philippines, June 28, 1945. Japanese prisoners from the 52nd Division, under guard by a soldier of the 1st Rifle Regiment, 10th Gurkha Rifles, 17th Indian Division, await transport to a prisoner of war camp at Pegu. Burma, 1945, hanging by a tire, Milton, Massachusetts, 1934 vs. 2025A, quiet echo of American suburbia through time. In 1934, a boy swings from a tire under the low summer sun, surrounded by the stillness of the Great Depression years. When joy was handmade and fleeting, Engine 11 of the Paradise and Pacific Railroad, McCormick Stillman Park. In April 1944, the CEO of America's largest mail-order retailer, Montgomery Ward, was forcibly removed from his Chicago office by the U.S. Army National Guard. Two Blackfeet warriors gaze across the vast, untamed landscape that would later become Glacier National Park, Montana. In the early 1900s, on May 6, 1937, the German passenger airship LZ-129 Hindenburg burst into flames while attempting to dock at Naval Air Station Lakehurst, New Jersey. The towering hydrogen-filled Zeppelin, once a symbol of luxury and technological progress, was consumed by fire in just 34 seconds. In the summer of 1941, crowds gathered in Madrid to witness the departure of the División Azul, the Blue Division, a volunteer, unit formed by Spanish soldiers to fight alongside Nazi Germany against the Soviet Union on the Eastern Front. On the day Queen Beatrix of the Netherlands was crowned, Amsterdam erupted in violent protest. While the royal ceremony proceeded inside the Nieuwe Kerk, thousands of demonstrators filled the streets chanting "The First Flying Car," 1947. In 1947, engineer Robert Edison Fulton Jr. unveiled one of the world's first practical attempts at a flying car, the Airphibian. Built in Connecticut, this remarkable vehicle could drive on roads and, With its wings and tail attached, take off like a small airplane. On this day in 1933, Albert Einstein, one of the most brilliant scientific minds in history, arrived in the United States as a refugee from Nazi Germany. Fleeing the rise of anti-Semitism and the brutal political climate that had overtaken his homeland, Einstein chose safety and intellectual freedom over returning to a Europe descending into darkness. Tulsa burning, 1921. In late May and early June of 1921, one of the darkest chapters in American history unfolded: the Tulsa Race Massacre. In June 1966, James Meredith, the first black student to integrate the University of Mississippi in 1962, set out alone on a courageous 220-mile walk from Memphis, Tennessee to Jackson, Mississippi. His goal was simple yet powerful: to challenge racial terror and inspire African Americans to register to vote in the Deep South. Photographed by George Grantham Bain, this image captures a unique wartime moment in American education: a cooking class for men at the Pratt Institute in Brooklyn, New York. Does anyone have any details on what this image is or the story behind it? I'll take lies too. I just need to get this off my mind. A destroyed Wehrmacht artillery position near Volokholamsk, Moscow region, 41.